Folks, I've got good news. It's been a long, hard fight, but we finally did it. Racism is over. That's right. Joe Biden has done it. He has signed into law the formation
so we can fulfill the promise of America for all people, all of our people.
Of a new federal holiday.
It's not going to be fulfilled so long as the sacred right to vote remains under attack.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Joe.
You see this assault from restrictive laws, threats of intimidation, voter purges, and more. An assault that offends the very democracy, our very democracy. We can't rest till the promise of equality is fulfilled for every one of us in every corner of this nation. That, to me, is the meaning of Juneteenth. That's what it's about. So let's make this very Juneteenth, tomorrow, the first that our nation will celebrate all together as one nation. A Juneteenth.
Man, he really does sound super tired. I can't listen to it. Okay, anyway, basically, federal holiday. First federal holiday we've had since, like, MLK Day, I think. What you need to know. Here, we'll replace his rambling, senile speech with some bullet points. President Biden signed a bill to establish Juneteenth as a federal holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the United States. The legislation gained momentum in the wake of the police killing of George Floyd last year, but Congress has made little progress on federal police reform. A bill named for Floyd remains stalled following Republican opposition. Big surprise there. At the same time, multiple states have moved to ban teaching critical race theory in schools. Quick reminder, by the way, to everyone terrified of critical race theory, if you've ever woken up in the hot sweat, heaving a little bit in your sleep, a little bit of pee trickling out of your urethra, please do remember this fun fact. Nobody's getting taught critical race theory in school. Nobody. It's a collegiate level theory. It's taught to college students in law school, sociology, political theory, and sometimes criminal justice studies. That's pretty much it. It's not getting taught to kids. It's not getting taught to kids in K through 12. It's just not. Of course, conservatives will argue that essentially any acknowledgement of America's racist past or any acknowledgement of the existence of racism is critical race theory. Republicans will see a kindergarten teacher saying racism is bad, so we shouldn't do it. And they'd call that critical race theory. So maybe by their definition, critical race theory exists at every level of society, but okay, if you want to call it that. Anyway, there's also a raft of new state laws aimed at restricting voting rights. The Republicans trotting out their time-honored strategy for winning. Anyway, June 19th is now officially Juneteenth National Independence Day. That's tomorrow. A U.S. federal holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the U.S. I like this first bullet point, by the way. Here's what you need to know. The day's name is a blending of the words June and 19th. Get it? Juneteenth? Hopefully you get it. Hopefully you, yeah. I know it's let that one slip by. Ooh. Yeah, it says down here, with Biden's signature, Juneteenth is the first holiday to be approved since Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which was established in 1983. And that's pretty nice. And the rest of the stuff here, I feel like I'll fill in on my own, basically. So, who here is familiar with the words of esteemed civil rights activist Malcolm X on subjects such as these? The white man will try to appease us with symbolic victories, that kind of thing. Obviously, making Juneteenth a national holiday does not do anything to solve racism. It doesn't fix anything. And to Biden's credit, as he signed in the law, he did acknowledge that. He did say, we're being attacked, our voting rights are under attack, that sort of thing. So Biden did acknowledge that this was not this didn't fix the problem. That being said, the attempt to pass through Juneteenth being a national holiday, it actually got bipartisan support. especially in the House. Republicans like really, really sailed it on through. I think how many Republicans didn't vote yes on it in the House? It was like wasn't it like 20 or something? 15? 14? Yeah, like nothing. You'd think, and I think what Republicans want from this, and probably some of the more reactionary Democrats, is they're hoping it'll shut black people up. Like realistically, because now in the future, what they're going to say, some black guy gets shot by the cops or whatever, and black people are going to protest, and we're going to protest with them, and then like they're going to say, "You got a holiday, you got a national holiday, and you're still complaining." I guarantee you're going to say that. You're going to see that argument over and over and over and over again. You're going to see it over and over and over again for years. You're going to see it every single time this happens until you die. On the plus side, we have a new federal holiday. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm a YouTuber, but I'm sure you all will appreciate the extra day off or the 3-day weekend or however it pans out, depending on the year. But anyway, yeah. There is nothing wrong with enjoying the existence of this holiday. It should be a holiday. It deserves to be a holiday. Just remember that a symbolic victory really is only symbolic, and that it doesn't extend much beyond that unless it's substantiated with progressive policy. Now, credit where credit's due. Biden did acknowledge this, so I'm not coming after him on this too hard. I know he can't just snap slavery and racism and everything away, like the whole legacy of racism in this country. But there will be people who will try to use it like that, as a bludgeon, a symbolic victory that they'll use to tell you you've had enough. So do not be fooled. There's one last person, by the way, one particularly goofy goober who I think deserves a little bit of attention on this fine day. We save it for the goofiest of goobers, okay? Just talked about this man 2 days ago. Charlie Kirk, saw him at the TPUSA Women's Conference, where he said that women should be in the kitchen. Basically, he said it in more words than that, but here's a tweet from 1 year ago. Senate Republicans are introducing legislation to make Juneteenth a federal holiday. Barack Obama and Joe Biden were in the White House for 8 years. Why didn't they ever do it? That's 1 year ago. And now here's today. Lincoln knew America's founding was July 4th, 1776. He knew that was the day our amazing nation made a step from ideal to reality. Juneteenth is an affront to the unity of July 4th. We now have 2 summer holidays, and one of them is based on race. Shame on the GOP for supporting this. So, I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I think this applies perfectly well to Charlie Kirk. Fascists do not believe in words, and they do not believe in principles. Okay? To them, anything they say, any ideas they express, any language they use are just a transient and completely temporary expression of whatever is most convenient to them at the time. A year ago, Charlie Kirk was not only pro-Juneteenth, but shaming Obama and Joe Biden for not supporting Juneteenth back during their term. And now that Joe Biden is the one signing it into law, it's just exactly the opposite. It's just nothing has changed. There's been no change in what Juneteenth means or represents. It's just he was for it before, and now he's against it. And by the way, this tweet that he made a year ago was right after the murder of George Floyd. Remember? George Floyd was murdered a year ago, just a couple of weeks ago. And this was exactly 1 year ago, this tweet from Charlie Kirk. So this isn't just BLM changed his mind. This is post George Floyd's murder, Charlie Kirk supporting Juneteenth when Trump is in office, and then just opposing it when Biden's in office. They do not actually believe anything. And remember, they don't think you believe anything either. That all of your positions and principles are just an ever-shifting sandcastle of arguments that you can knock down and build back up and knock down again, and whatever looks best at the time. And nobody would accuse you of being a hypocrite for building 2 sandcastles that look different from each other. Arguments aren't supposed to have any coherence or permanence. You just build whatever looks best at the time. That's Charlie Kirk for you. He's not the only one like that, but that was a particularly ostentatious example of that sort of behavior.